What's that title say? So I'm going to talk about um, the times when I felt a maximum adrenaline dump, and or felt the effects of a very massive adrenaline dump. It started very early. If you are a fan of my channel, then you know I talk a lot about adrenaline because it is the X factor in the moment of truth. And it is not talked about often enough, but it is definitely the X factor. If you learn how to control your uh, adrenaline, you can do amazing things. So let me jump straight to it. The first time I ever felt a maximum adrenaline dump, I was 7. And in fact, I was fresh 7. I might have been 6, but I always remember, I believe, being 7. 7 years old, and I had a buddy. I think his name was Dwight. I believe is what his name was, and he was 11 years old. And we were getting ready to move soon. I know that, and so he was really like my only friend at the time, because everyone was kind of like had moved out of the neighborhood. So I'm playing with this 11-year-old kid, right? Now he's taller than me, bigger than me. At that age, 7 and 11. First of all, I've always been small, okay, and bone. And so he's bigger than me and everything. But he was my buddy, man. We had fun all the time. But one day we're at the door. The house next door is empty. Nobody lives there. And so we would go up on the porch and we play WWF, play wrestle. And one day, he was a little too rough and he pushed me down the steps. We're talking about a decent flight of steps here. And he pushed me down the flight of steps. And when I didn't think much of it. I figured he was an accident. So when I got up, I was expecting him to go, "Oh man, my bad," something. I get down there and I look up and he's just standing there looking at me. And I'm like, "Are you going to apologize? You're going to say sorry?" It's like, "No." I'm like, "For real?" Speed it up. We get into a shoving match, right? And next thing you know, he wails off and starts hitting me. Boom, 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 boom. Now, I'm 7, he's 11. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Just came out on Nintendo. So, as this dude's beating me up, I remember looking off into the sky as I'm getting beat up. I remember looking off and seeing the sun. I don't know why that's in my head, but I remember looking off and seeing the sun. And it's weird because usually, when you look at the sun, it's so bright that you can't really look into. At this moment, I was looking dead at the sun like it was the moon. Like the radiant thing wasn't there. I was looking dead at the sun, and I started thinking about the video game Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And I remember in the video game, the person you play is a little small guy named Little Mac, and everybody else you play is big, and he has to jump up to hit him. So in my head, I'm like, wait a minute, it's time to Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! This dude. And I back up. I pushed him off, and I backed up, and I'm like, all right, it's Big Mac time, right? So I'm getting ready to just try to do some Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Stuff. But what ended up happening is he swung at me, and it looked like this. Real slow. And I was like, and when he swung, I ducked, but I'm like, why is he swinging so slow? I'm 7, man. And he's 11. And I'm like, why is he swinging so slow? And then he swung again, and I ducked it. This one was a little faster, but it was still slow. And I ducked that one. And I'm like, I don't know why he's swinging so slow. I don't get what's happening exactly right now, especially at the age of 7. But I'm about to hit him off this next one because I'm still moving at regular speed, but he's moving slow. So on his third swing, I duck and I catch him. And he backed up a little bit, and I'm dancing. I'm Little Mac thinking Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, and he swings at me again. I see it coming, duck, hit him again. He swings, I duck, one more, 3 times, hit him again. He took off running. And I stayed outside, and I don't know why I was out there by myself after that. But I know that about 5 minutes later, a crowd of kids came running towards me, and his older brother was in the front. I'm scared now to death. I do feel a little weird. I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but I can do this again. Like my adrenaline's still up, basically. A crowd of like 12 kids are coming at me. I'm scared. And as they approach me, they walk up to me. I had to watch these guys walking towards me for like a half a block out. And finally, they get to me and they pick me up in the air and they start calling me Little Mike Tyson. I'll never forget it. First time that the effects of adrenaline, I felt it. That slow motion, things seem to slow down, right? I've heard some people say that things slow down, but then they're also slow. But that doesn't happen for me. I'm not moving necessarily fast. I'm just moving at my same speed, but they're moving slow. It seems like almost everything around me is moving slow. Okay. The next time I can remember feeling a huge adrenaline dump that has any relevance to anything, because the next one was actually when the guy put a shotgun to my forehead. I was 14 years old. But well, I guess there was something to that, because I felt like my soul came out of my body when that happened. That guy pulled up and he put a shotgun to my forehead. It was like 10:30 at night. I had my two older cousins were with me, who was 16 and 17, and I was 14, and we were supposed to be meeting with some girls, something like that. But I walked across the street, just right across, to see if I could look down the street a little further, and then this car pulls up. Guy had a bandana around his mouth and head. He put a shotgun to my forehead. Said, "Come out your shit." And I went, "Oh sh!" And I felt like my soul came out of my body, seriously. And what's really weird is I remember it as if I was looking at myself. It's really strange, but I remember what happened as if I stepped out and looked at myself dealing with the shotgun being pointed at my head. But I was able to, I hit it up with my forearm in the air, and then I took off running. There's a really high flight of steps at this church that was right across the street. That's where we were actually standing on top of like the church's porch, basically. And I ran and I cleared those steps to go tell my cousins, "This guy got a gun, we got to go," right? I remember clearing those steps. There's no way I could have done that. In fact, I tried to do it later on, and I just couldn't. I cannot. There's no way. The flight of steps was too high, but my adrenaline was moving so fast that I cleared it with just one hop. So there's a little bit of relevance there. But the next time where the whole thing of like things slow down, and in this one, sound. This is a big one, because so many people seem to be concerned with, "Oh, someone breaks in my house, I need to have hearing protection to throw on because I don't want to damage my ears in a home." And it's like, it's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. And it's funny, because when you hear that, you can tell, okay, well, that person's definitely never been through a life or death scenario. But the next one was hunting. Is when I got my first elk kill. And I'm not going to go through the entire story because that's not really relevant. It was just my first time killing anything. And I had my 270, and I walked up in this clearing, and there was about 25 elk, and it was spike only. And there was a spike about 25 yards in front of me, and Grandpa always said, "Shoot him in the neck." And I shot him in the neck. And I remember everything slowed down. They ran off slow. He fell slow. I also remember smoke from the barrel. I remember pulling the trigger, and I heard nothing. Okay, I knew the gun went off because I felt a little recoil. I seen the reaction of the animal, right? So I knew it went off, but I didn't hear anything, right? It was just, pull the trigger, and if I did hear something, it's so muffled that you're not paying attention. It's not this loud sound. And people were complaining, people are afraid of AR pistol. Well, how about a 308, a 270, a 7mm Magnum? That's real. That's sound, right? That's really loud. And I almost heard nothing. My adrenaline was maxed out. And so, yeah, he fell slow. He hit the ground, and when he hit the ground, he kicked twice. Both his front and his rear legs. He did that, and he stopped moving. And it was surreal. It really was. It was a trip, man. But when I say I felt the recoil, not the way that I normally feel the recoil. It was just kind of like, it happened. It went off. That's about it. That's the end of it. But there was no real recoil that I normally felt shooting that gun. And So the sound was muted. The slow motion effect took place again. Uh, I wouldn't say as dramatic as the story, the punching story, but it was still slow. And that was that one. Try to think of another one, maybe my first three, because once I became an adult and start carrying a gun and whatnot, when some of the things happen that is on the page, and I've made told stories on things I've been through. I was already familiar with the effects of adrenaline, so when it happened, I'm aware of it and I know how to use its advantages. You understand? Um, I think the next time, was a dog. So the next time I had a huge adrenaline dump, it was a dog. A dog was chasing me. Now, me and my buddy, I had my old best friend Keenan. We used to hang out every day, and one of our favorite things was to get chased by a dog. It was like an adrenaline rush. We loved it. We'd go ride our bikes, off into the rich neighborhood. The rich neighborhood and the hood are like connected. Okay, we ride our bikes around there and ride through alleyways, and sure enough, eventually we'll find a dog and the dogs will come chasing us. We'll be riding our bikes to get away and screaming, ah! And it was fun. It's a thing we did. But there's a couple times where a dog ended up chasing us and we wasn't looking for no dog to chase us. And this was one of those. And where I grew up, there wasn't a whole bunch of nice dogs, man. Okay. It just wasn't. Um, so me and him are walking to my house from the store, and we would play this game. We joke around like where we'd be like, pit bull, and the other one will act like they're about to run to try to scare the other one. So we would do that, play that game with each other every once in a while. Well, it's funny because um, he turned around and said, German Shepherd. And I'm like, shut up. And he laughed because he was joking. Coincidentally, we both took a double take and looked back, and there was an actual German Shepherd really coming after me. Okay, both of us. And this dog is running and growling. Don't even know where this dog came from. Huge German Shepherd. He's coming for me. My boy Keenan takes off and hits the corner. Now, where I was standing right next to this gate, he was in front of me. But there's a gate, but there's this concrete like wall about this high, right? At least at the time I was like 5'5", so it was about 3 inches shorter than I am now, and that's how high it was to me then. So maybe it was like this, right? Concrete wall, and but again, to me, as far as my body, it was like this. I remember it was chest level. That thing was chest level, and when that dog came after me, my adrenaline, I calculated that I couldn't outrun this dog at this moment. And my only decision that my body made was get up on top of this. And I vertically jumped up on top of this concrete wall that only had about that much foot spacing, and then there was a fence. So what I did is I vertically jumped straight up, no running, nothing. I just German Shepherd. We turned around and took that double take, and I jumped up. And once I cleared that and grabbed the top of the fence, and the dog hit the corner. He luckily stopped and didn't chase my boy around the corner. And the dog just kind of stood there looking at me, barked a few times or whatever. And I'm like, "Go, get out of here!" And the dog ended up eventually running away. And I did this to the fence and wrapped around the corner with it. It was actually our neighbor's fence or whatever. So yeah, that was my adrenaline. Just when the adrenaline kicks in, and I'm not talking about an adrenaline of like you're playing basketball and adrenaline, or right. I'm talking about life or death adrenaline. I like it. I was afraid for my life when that dog was chasing me. You understand? The elk, it wasn't life or death. Well, it was death for the animal, but it wasn't life or death for me. But it was so exhilarating. It was just so. Maybe it wasn't a maximum adrenaline dump, but it was a huge adrenaline dump, enough to get the effects, the benefit effects of having a maximum adrenaline dump. When the adrenaline kicks in, you're faster, you're stronger, you can think faster than you ever have before. For a lot of people, time slows down, pain goes away. Okay, that's the other thing is that during that fight, I didn't feel anything when he was hitting me. When that adrenaline kicked, You know, when we're pushing and pushing, and my adrenaline's kicking up, and then he starts. Once I seen that first swing, the adrenaline kicked in. I didn't feel his punches. That's the only thing I remember is looking and seeing the sun. I don't remember him. He was hit. I know he was hitting me, but I felt nothing. And that's another byproduct of a huge or maximum adrenaline dump. Is you can't feel pain. Things seem to slow down. Sound, extremely loud sounds will get muffled, and it's funny because your body naturally has what electronic earmuffs do, because you can still hear people, or if somebody's talking to you during this, you can hear them clear, but a really loud sound is muffled, just like electronic ear pro. Um, the body is amazing. It's amazing, man. What the body does. It's unbelievable. But it's one of the things that, when we're talking about life or death situations, and we carry guns. If you're watching this, you're probably a gun person, right? At least most of you guys are. You're carrying a gun, and something happens, and you get these benefits of adrenaline. But the most people have never had to draw their gun or use their gun in self-defense. More so than that, most people have never had any life or death experiences, or even to the point of a big fight or something. My body, the way my body works is, when a fight happens, my mind doesn't think, hey, this is a fight. My mind thinks he's trying to kill me. Even in a fight, when I get into a fight, my mind goes, he's trying to kill me. And so I get the same adrenaline that I would if somebody pulled a gun on me. It's the same adrenaline, because my mind thinks the same thing regardless. He's trying to kill me, and I get that rush, and then I get the benefits of the adrenaline. And it can be too much. Like if especially if you've never dealt with it before, you've never felt it before. So that first time you have to draw your gun, that feeling can be overwhelming. Like you can get caught in it. Like it's because it's almost too much. But if you can focus, if you can snap into, all right, that adrenaline's kicking, but I have to make decisions here. I have to fight, go into fight mode. If you go into flight mode, well, you have the benefit of the fact that you're faster than you normally are. Seriously, no joke. You can jump higher, you're stronger. So in the matter of flight, it gives you that benefit. But in the matter of fight, you get those benefits also again. And so you're faster, you're stronger, you're quicker, and then the whole thing of things seeming to slow down. And I don't think that happens with everyone. The feeling of things slowing down and not feeling pain, that doesn't seem to be for everyone. I've questioned a lot of people, and it seems like about a third of the people I talk to say, yeah, I don't feel pain during a fight. And they don't feel pain and things slow down. So that's not for everybody. That doesn't happen for everyone. But the sound muffling, that's almost everyone I know who hunts, their first hunting trip, or even their first couple of them, when their adrenaline is just pumping like crazy. And most hunters that I've talked to all say the same. You don't really hear that gunshot. And these are people dealing with real power, real high-powered rifles, not a 223. Okay, real high-powered rifles. And they most have, say the same thing. So again, my point is that the feeling can be overwhelming, but if you can, just get into gear, like, okay, I got to fight. I have to survive this. If you get that mind frame, your body will give you benefits to win this, because your mind goes, all right, look, this is life or death. If we don't make it, we're done. And subconsciously, the same way, if I cut myself right now, scab will eventually cover that. But I don't have to think about that to make it happen. The body naturally does that, right? I spoke about this in another video. It's the same way. The adrenaline gives you these benefits. You don't have to think about it. It just happens. So it was the first few times that I felt it and was aware of it. So when I got older, and the AMPM robbery situation, or the Jack in the Box situation, whatever, I've been through quite a few, and I was aware of the adrenaline already. So when it kicked in, I used it and was able to survive. So that's that. Whammy out.